Yo, what is up, Vicco gang? And today is a different video. I know I say this all the time, but like for real, this is definitely, I think, a first for me when it comes to this kind of video, guys, because today I'm gonna do what I would like to say kind of like a community like response type like video type thing for Bleach Rebirth of the Souls. And my recent video of my recent video title, you know, we need to talk about Bleach Rebirth of the Souls, right? And you guys definitely talked about Bleach Rebirth of the Souls in this video, so I highly appreciate you guys engaging in with the video, you know, like that, right? And before we get started with, you know, this little, it's gonna be me reading through the comments, you know, reading through some comments I took high note of, and I think I can, you know, really hopefully talk about these comments and, you know, respond to these comments, you know, really hopefully meaningful way, you know, and maybe you guys have some thoughts similar to these people. And yeah, regardless, thank you guys so much for commenting on this video. And you know, you should comment in this video, you should like and subscribe, man. I am almost at 500 subs, so you guys can hit that. That'll be a really huge milestone, and of course from 500 subs to even further beyond, right guy. I'll highly appreciate you guys. It'll mean the world to me anyway. Bang. So boom, we're gonna start out with some, I'm not gonna read every comment, I'm just gonna read off ones I feel like are poignant in my opinion. Okay, so like this person up here. All right, shout out everyone in this freaking comment section. Okay, Chicken C10. All right, shout out to you, gang. So this person is very optimistic, I'll say. So 20 plus lobbies would be amazing. Full tournament mode with that many people would be amazing. Cinematic in-game editor, more skins, recolors, finishing move options, reverse gauge to feel faster, and more ways to build it. And this one is, you know, like, sure, you know, that seems more pretty realistic. More ways to pop Kiko moves in general, so we can see the cool cinematic clash throughout the match. This rarely happens, I'm pretty sure, because, you know, like, it's kind of crazy to go for it, but like you can go for a Kiko move, you know, without, you know, getting them into the red health. And when they block that Kiko move, it causes a really cool clash, right? So there's that. You block it. You block the Kiko move. 2v2, 3v3s is yeah. We'll get through this comment. And at this point, add it in all characters from story mode, including the gimmicky hollows, etc. It's going to take a lot to bring people back, but Sparking Zero manages even with its own lackluster DLC. So shout out this person. They're very enthusiastic. A lot of enthusiasm with the game still, which is really nice to see. But of course, a lot of this is very optimistic, very wishful thinking, you know, which you can't knock down on, you know. I can't knock it, you know, but you know, obviously a lot of this is unfortunately pretty unrealistic for this game, especially right now how it is, you know. But you know, I even respond, I'm like, that would be insane, but I really like enthusiasm. But he's like, yo, we need something, you know. And I get it, you know, I really do get it. But yeah, this is very, I added all characters from story mode because from what I understand, and I haven't beat the whole story mode. Now, of course, you know, there's hollows, you know, like the generic hollows, you know, in the beginning of Bleach. And there's even more other boss fights and stuff like that. There's other boss fights and things of that nature in the story mode who are not playable. So maybe hopefully in the future that does happen, because I think the Naruto Storm games have done something pretty similar to that. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I love this person's enthusiasm, but you know, I don't know if a lot of this is gonna happen, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Can't hate on optimism. You know what I mean? So this person at Foul Tarnished 96. 12. They brought up some gameplay issues they have, actually, which I said that one of the strongest points in Bleach Rebirth of the Souls is its gameplay. But this person says there are so many things that need to change gameplay wise. The way the grab works, how counters work, which are really bad. Lights need to move you forward a bit. Heavies need more range for certain characters. When you connect certain things like Shinji's counter, you just can't use heavy attacks afterwards. Like, again, so many things. I haven't lost hope yet, but it's probably too late. This game, but good lord, has some frustratingly bad mechanics. I will say that the game definitely has some weird inconsistencies with its like hit detection and stuff like that. And yes, I do believe, yeah, the way some of these lights work, you know, to like hopefully punish someone who did a unsafe like string on you, right? Or even the CPU does an unsafe string on you, but then your light is way too stubby. Kind of weird, especially in a game with characters from Bleach who a majority of them have swords, and you're telling me the swords have stubby range? You know, and I know it's really bad even with characters like Chad who has fists and stuff, obviously, but it's like, you know, the best way to punish, you know, slow attacks is with a light attack. But if the light attack doesn't punish, it's kind of weird, because even if you do try to punish with your own like heavy attack, or you know what I mean, like because you know, you see an opening, the heavy, you know, your flash attack, I believe it's called in this game, is too slow. It is unfortunately too slow sometimes. So then they block it, and then this becomes like almost like a stalemate to an extent, right? And this person says the way the grab works, the grab is a very interesting mechanic in this game, because, you know, what is it called? Breaker, I believe, in this game it is called, for the grabs. When you do the quick grab, the quick one, we just tap it, that's the problematic one in my opinion, because there's no like such like indication for that to happen besides obviously the little like the blink or the flash or whatever that happens. But most of the time it's like you really have to kind of like read your opponent and see when that's gonna happen, from what I've noticed, because actually trying to like see it or like read it, you know, like or whatever, that's like you can't. You can't. You just have to like pray that you like tech it or whatever, because that thing is instant. That thing is instant. Like you basically have to read when your opponent wants to grab you, which is not hype, you know. And sometimes that thing has redonkulous range. Like that quick grab goes insanely far, right? And he even brings up, you know, certain counters and certain abilities, like they just don't work sometimes. Like I don't know if he like is referring to like counters like Shinji's, you know, or like other like super armor type moves or something like that. I'm not sure, because sometimes, yeah, those super armor type like moves or whatever, they're like fine to do, right? But sometimes it's, I don't know, it definitely feels weird sometimes, for sure. So sometimes the game does work against you, for sure, and I do feel that sometimes, right? Now, you know, next comment. This person seems pretty frustrated, you know, and which I said essentially, you know, I totally get it. You know, it's all that is up to you guys. You know, if you guys are genuinely just pretty frustrated at the state of these games, you know, and want to step away from them, you know, I don't blame you whatsoever. I really don't. You know, because with this game, it does feel like there are some weirdly simple aspects that they just don't like think about, you know. And that's my whole thing with this game, guys. That's my whole thing, that this game for some reason like skimps out on like some weirdly, I feel like, simple things. Like, I don't know, or it was like, you know what, like almost no-brainer things, you know, or something. This is obviously a lot of it's pertaining to online, and I'll go more into that later with another comment, you know. But it's totally fine, you know, if you're upset at, you know, the state of these games, you know. I totally get it. Some pretty funny comments here. This person, I think they just need to stop developing these types of games and for anime in general. These games literally don't translate well to modern gaming. None of them have enough content to be worth $60, and they'll never lower the price. I hope the future they change the style of games from this to an open world or character customization. While it would be hard for Bleach, it will be 1,000 times better for these games if they put the work in. And, you know, I said essentially, I think this game was kind of a way of Bleach getting back into the gaming space. So hopefully in the future we can get like something, they said, you know, the open world or character customization, an actual full-on fighting game, which I might go into that a little later, or a more focused single player experience, which I definitely talked about this in my Bleach Rebirth of Souls survey video about halfway, or like towards the, I think it's actually towards the end of the video, where they asked you like what kind of game you would like for the Bleach series. And I did essentially say, I said these three, right? So if you guys want to check that out, I'll probably leave it at the end of the video. But anyways, so this person seems, shout out Bruce Vinya, I believe, you know, 1878. Shout out to you, gang. But yeah, I believe that this game, as I said, is a way for the game, for Bleach to have a game in the modern era. You know, because the last Bleach console game, guys, remember, is Bleach Soul Resurrection, which was, say it with me now, almost 14 years ago, dude. So I think this game was more of a way for them to step back into the space with a probably to them like a safe option in a 3D arena fighter. And I brought this up in a reply here, where I think they were trying to appease to two different types of audiences for whatever reason, but it kind of does fall flat in that respect, you know, in certain areas, because I don't know, they just didn't go full on into, you know, casual gaming, or into semi like competitive, I guess you can say, gaming, or more intricate, I guess you can say, gameplay or whatever, right? So I think that is definitely the issue with this game a little bit as well, right? And this guy, Astro Artist, I believe is your name, says, I ain't no Bleach hater, and I ain't no hater. I love Bleach a lot with all my heart, but the game for me doesn't hit home. I wish that this game could live to that expectation, that joy, but it ain't hitting it. It feels like Dragon Ball Spark Zero. Yes, the DBZ game's still around, but for me, it's been dead like the Bleach game. You know, I'm like, you know what? I don't think this guy comes across as a hater. You know, I think he definitely genuinely gave this game a shot. He gave the game a try, and honestly, he says like it's not hitting. You know, and that's completely fair. That's completely fair. If you did, this is not what you wanted from Bleach, I mean, that's entirely up to you. You know what I mean? That it is what it is. Hopefully they bring out a game that is up to this person's taste, you know, and that's all I can hope for too, you know. And honestly, that's why I was advocating for a demo or a beta before this game came out, you know, because we need those more often, dude. We need betas or demos a lot more often, because it'll just help so much, you know, instead of someone spending straight up what, $60 to $70, maybe even $80 in the future just to, you know, quote, try out a game. Like, dude, and like, you know, I know there's always refunding, but it's like, you know, you can save that hassle in general with a beta or demo for certain games, you know, or all games. So there's that. There is that. You know, this person, Brian, I believe, I'm getting crazy with the crazy lag, and he thinks some characters need some balancing. How do you build Byakuya, Ulquiorra, Renji, and Stark? I did bring up Stark. I think this guy and another person did say that Stark needs some reworking, because I mentioned Stark in my last video. Yeah, Stark is just not that fun to play in this game, unfortunately. Like, he is fun in training mode when you have your infinite bar, but you know, in an actual match, you need to constantly like refuel his freaking bar, and then when he reawakens, you start essentially killing yourself, you know, with his wolves and stuff, you know. And it's just a lot of resource management, which I think is really unfun in my opinion. Now, this person, if you want to know, this person, Jowser1342, shout out to you, gang. If you want to know why the updates are taking forever, just look into the PC version of the game. The devs could care less. They already got their bag, actually a scam, and they've not properly fixed it. At the end of the day, this game was but just a cash grab coated in shiny paint. Which, chat, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't believe that. I don't think this game was a cash grab. I'm just gonna put it out there. Right? I even said so in my reply. Yeah, the PC version is inexcusable for sure. That's for sure, right? But I don't think this game was a cash grab personally. Might be me being a little naive / ignorant, but I believe this was just a mismanaged game, you know, because of the reasons I said in the video. Check out the video, guys. I think the game is pretty fun, but yeah, falls short on some weirdly simple aspects, as I brought up before, right? And they went on this whole thing, like they're like, yeah, man, I agree with you, you know, and all that stuff. But before I get to that, yeah, the PC version, guys, it is not excusable. Like that is bad. That was bad. Like the game just not being playable. That's not hype. That is for sure. Like, come on, we're in 2025 and we can't get games to work on PC. Like, what is going on? You know, and this has been a trend for like the past like couple years, right? Just games just not working on PC, having poorly optimized PC ports. It just has been plaguing, you know, games recently, which is very unfortunate to see. But yeah, anyways, what is next reply? He says he gets me, you know, but he's just, I think this person's just really like disappointed in this game, and it just hurts that, like, he says it hurts my soul that, you know, he thinks there might not be a Bleach game in a long time, you know, but I do think this game is good, but it does, like, as he says, you know, he wished this game had rollback, crossplay, you know, which is something I didn't even think of, that, yeah, this game does not have crossplay, which is weird. Yeah, that's my whole thing with this game, guys. But before I get into that, this is gonna address kind of like another kind of like two comments into one, you know, but these guys were a little poopy, you know, I'll be honest though. But I'll surmise essentially what they said. Anyways, yeah, like the devs were really persistent at first, you know, the two first updates, and then they just stopped, right? But, you know, he thinks Sparking Zero is a really good game, you know, that's his opinion, right? And you can think whatever you want about Sparking Zero. I actually do think Sparking Zero is a pretty decent game. I just think, you know, when you've done everything, you know, you play online, you know, you play against the corniest things ever online, you know, you're done, you know, with Sparking Zero. But I honestly do think Sparking Zero is a pretty decent game. I do think that game is definitely a solid, like, over 7 out of 10 for sure. It is really, I think it's a pretty decent game all around as well. But anyways, he essentially just is advocating for a Bleach Fighters, or even a One Piece Fighters, or even a Jujutsu Kaisen Fighters, you know. And I think this game, chat, this game needed to happen. This game needed to happen first, as I said before, to dip their toes back into the gaming space with Bleach, because it has been, like I said, nearly 14 years at the time of this video that the last Bleach game came out for consoles. Right, with Soul Resurrection. Okay, and you know what? I totally get the want and need for, you know, a more traditional fighting game. You know, I would go insane for Bleach Fighters. I have been on record saying this. I would love a Bleach Fighters, but we just needed this. We needed to dip Bleach back into this space after 1 billion years. You know, you guys might say, oh, dude, Bleach Brave Souls, dude. Bleach Brave Souls exists, dude. But dude, that's a mobile game. You know, it's like not a lot of people are fond of mobile games. You know what I mean? You can like Bleach Brave Souls. I think Bleach Brave Souls is a fine enough mobile game. But, you know, people want to actually feel like they're playing as Ichigo. They want to play as Kenpachi, like actually like more in control. That makes more sense. More, how I say, intricate control, more in-depth control, right? But, you know, people have been wanting like a Devil May Cry style game. You know, that's a big one. You know, I think we might kind of get that with Bleach Soul Resonance, but of course that's another gotcha. But it's definitely more in line what I was kind of saying, more in control of your characters and stuff like that to an extent. But of course, a Bleach fighting, like an actual Bleach fighting game, you know, would be awesome. And I said, yeah, that would be awesome. Or a fighter style Bleach or Jujutsu Kaisen game, because Dragon Ball Fighters, even though in its pretty state right now, it is one of my favorite games of all time. So I would definitely take a Bleach Fighters any day of the week. But yeah, we're just gonna see for the future of the game, right? Anyways, these other two comments that I saw, right, they were being a little poopy, but they're essentially saying, why do people want ranked? What is the deal with ranked? Why do people want to try hard or whatever, right? And like, which is kind of funny they brought that up, because in this video, I only brought up ranked, like, I can count on one hand how many times I brought up ranked. But it's just, dude, just to put the ranked thing out the way. When you think about it, as far as I know, chat, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure this is the only like anime game with PvP, you know, console / PC game that does not have ranked. I'm almost positive on that. If there is other games out there, other anime games out there that have PvP that aren't actually like 3 arena fighters at the very least or whatever, or traditional, whatever the heck, and they don't have ranked, then whoopsie daisy. Okay, but as far as I know, when it pertains to anime fighting games, whether they are 3D arena fighters or traditional, or, you know, 2D, as far as I know, this is the only game in like years that doesn't have ranked, as far as I personally know. Okay, as far as I know, which is kind of weird. Come on, that's a little weird, right? So I just want to put that out there. It's just weird. And secondly, about ranked is like, let people try hard. You know what I mean? Just let them try hard. Let them try hard. Like, who cares? And if anything, it will help the casual, you know, like quick play or whatever free match in this game, you know, so you can separate the, you know, quote unquote tryhards from the casuals, right? And of course you're gonna get tryhards and casuals still, but you know, they'll be more separate, at least. You know, you'll get the tryhards in, you know, in rank, right? You know, to me, that sounds like a better thing for the game, in my opinion, instead of getting a really mixed bag of very casual players versus quote tryhards. So that's my thing with rank, right? And people like working to something, you know, in these games. Some, you know, because a lot of the time I noticed and I've seen and, you know, I've listened and I've learned that, like, you know, people nowadays with games, they want to, like, when it comes to like multiplayer games and stuff like that, or games in general, they want to feel like they're working towards something. They're earning something, whether it be, you know, ranked points, or like in an RPG, you know, they're getting max level, you know, or high stats, stuff like that. You know, like working towards something, earning something every time you play the game. And that's the thing. That's the thing with ranked in this game, right? Let people try hard. You know, that's that. But regardless of that, I didn't even bring up rank that much in this video with these comments. I was essentially advocating just, dude, what's up with the online modes? The online itself is bad. It's not good. It is not good in this game. Sorry, like, I'm sorry that I wanted a decent online in this game. Like, I'm sorry. Was that a hot take or something, dude? You know, it doesn't really look like it, you know, from this comment section, guys. But, you know, color me silly for wanting actual online in this game. You know, functioning online with more than 2 modes. More than like 1.5 of a mode, in my opinion. You know, with room match barely being room match, as I said in this video, only 1v1s, and like I keep saying over and over, it's like a bunch of games already came out in the past. Like, this is like not a new thing. Spectating multiple player room matches, you know what I mean? Like, that is not a new thing, dude. I'm almost positive Xenoverse frickin' 2 had this almost freaking 10 years ago, dude. That game came out 2016. It's 2025. That game at least had room matches with multiple people and spectating. I'm almost positive. Okay, I'm just saying. You know, it's not even that. That's all I wanted. You know, a functioning game, a functioning online, and a fun, engaging online. You know, like stuff like that, dude. And of course, better connection. I don't know if you can tell I was implying that the entire time. That's the thing. That's the thing with my stance on the game. Okay, because there are people who don't only want to play the freaking story mode. You know, they want to actually, you know, believe it or not, test their skills online, you know, with their favorite characters. They feel like they gotten good with, let's say, Kenpachi, you know, or Ichigo, or Yoruichi, and they want to actually play online, dude, against other actual people. Like, come on, like, this has been a thing for a billion years at this point, you know. And yes, there are people who will try hard on these games. It doesn't matter which game it is. Like, dude, Smash Brothers is one of the most popular quote-unquote fighting games out there. And that game is a party game. It is a party game. And that game has a competitive scene. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Any game can have people who take it seriously. And let them take it seriously. You know, just let them, dude. You know, even if you think it's like a little corny on like in like casual matches or something, come the frick off or whatever and just move it. You know, just go next, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that deep. You know, just let people try hard, to let people like play the game they want to play. I know I kind of went back to the rank thing, but this was more about, yes, I want functioning online. No, sorry, dude. Sorry. That was my whole thing with this video that I am responding to, right? That's my whole thing, chat. And I think that essentially covers it. You know, I don't even think we need ranked, because I think I even addressed it in one of these comments. I don't even think ranked will fix these issues. Yeah, all I can do is hope for it at this point, you know? All I can do is hope for it at this point. No, I'm pretty sure I said somewhere that, I don't know if I can find it, but yeah, man. I don't think rank can fix the problems with the game. And you know what? It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. We go next, chat. We go next. All right. Anyways, chat, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I addressed many of your guys's like maybe concerns or comments or whatever with Bleach Rebirth Souls. And you know, and I guess one more thing, yeah, sure, they put out this game, they probably didn't even intend, you know, for online, you know, and stuff like that, and it is what it is, you know, like the olden days, as I brought up in this video. But you know, I don't know, I just feel like the philosophy with this game just kind of doesn't align with how they're managing this game, making unique characters, you know, for you to get good with. They advertise online to test your skills against other people with your favorite characters, and the online is very lackluster, you know, chat. That's my whole thing. That is my whole thing, chat. Anyways, for real this time, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for engaging with this video here. Now, hopefully with this one, you know, hopefully you guys like, comment, subscribe. You know, as I said, almost at 500 subs. That'll help immensely getting 500 subs and even further beyond, chat. Even further freaking beyond. Anyways, for real, it has been yours truly, freaking Vicco, and I am freaking gone. Sub now.